Hi, this is Dr. Stone again. I want to introduce this presentation, which is about the philosophy. It's an expansion on the philosophy of what we do here in this practice. The why do we do. A philosophy is simply what we believe to be true. So as I introduce you to these concepts, it may get you thinking a little bit, and hopefully so. So we'll see in a moment. Okay, we're going to do our philosophy presentation here. So philosophy is basically what you believe to be true, and it comes from our perspectives. That's how we look at things and our approach to life. So I believe, this is my philosophy, that the body never makes a mistake. Now that is very different from what symptom suppression medicine has you to believe. So here's how it works. The brain and the nervous system receives information from your body, your internal environment, your hormones, and your external environment, what you see and all that. And it responds via regulation. It regulates all functions in your body. And it always regulates to improve your chance of survival. Always. To make that point. So the body communicates to the brain via your hormones, other chemicals, hundreds of names of chemicals within the body. And that's how neurotransmitters, we've all heard of serotonin, things like that. That's how the communication occurs. The environment communicates to the brain via 5 senses, what we see. All communication is checked against a log of past communication. This is our association cortex. So I often describe it like this. If I say the word apple, it's just, the word is A-P-P-L-E. That's it. But there's an association to what an apple is. That occurs in your brain. So you hear the word, how it sounds. Now the associations are going to compare against a past communication or past experiences. And if you ate a worm, you may have your tummy may turn. If you love sweet red apples, you may think of things like red and trees and sweet and happy, and those are the log of experiences in past communications. Each time a similar communication is received, the bigger the response, for the most part, especially if we're not answering our needs. We're going to get a much bigger response. Let me just kind of go through how that works. So, for example, a Little Debbie little snack bar causes a rapid rise in blood sugar because it is purely refined sugar. That signals to the pancreas to release insulin. If you have that same experience over and over and over, every time you're going to get more insulin, you're going to get a bigger spike in sugar, eventually getting to insulin resistance, which the symptoms, the messages are going to be, hey, weight gain. I'm putting fat on my belly. What's that message? Well, that's an insulin message right there. And then fatigue is very common with that too. And there's a number of things. If you do my intake forms, you'll see that each of these categories has a number of symptoms. And then if you continue on that pattern, eventually you get exhaustion of the system, which means that you can't regulate anymore. The stress has gotten too much. And then the symptoms here are numbness, your nerves die, and blindness, your nerve to your eye starts to die, your retina starts to die. Those are the symptoms once you get to that state of I can't regulate anymore. Now let's look at that from just a stress perspective. Diet, food can be stresses, life can be stresses. So let's take that caretaker pattern. In the caretaker pattern, you know what people need. You push to get what they need, even as they resist. You don't feel appreciated. Sometimes, people get angry at you. You're just trying to help them, and it's exhausting, and it's just back and forth. So you're trying to get people to do this, and back and forth, and back and forth. And every time you get in that struggle, it increases cortisol and adrenaline. And it increases more every time. So if this is a chronic thing, over and over again. This cortisol and adrenaline has perfect functions. It's the perfect regulation for the fight or flee. It helps you to get glucose, blood sugar increased, oxygen to your limbs so that you can fight or flee. It's a perfect regulation. But if that is on all the time, if you're having that experience over and over, it starts to cause insomnia. Now, cortisol on, adrenaline on all the time is going to eventually exhaust you anyways, but insomnia causes more exhaustion, right? You're tired and you can't sleep because you're wired. The stressful process inhibits your thyroid, forcing you to rest your body and mind. That's the regulation that it's asking for. It's saying you need rest. You need a break. You need to be nourished and soothed, however that needs to happen. You go to the doctor complaining of fatigue, weight gain, your hair is falling out. He runs a test. He detects low thyroid. We don't know why your thyroid is low, and we don't really examine why your thyroid is low. We're just going to give it. Prescribes the exact hormone that your body is suppressing. That's a regulation for your best probability of survival. It's trying to do that to improve your probability of survival. And if we go ahead and just stimulate it with a T4 synthroid or something like that, it's basically a suppression of that message. And that's why there's consequences to pharmaceutical medicines. That's why you could, if you count up the adverse effects and the death from pharmaceutical medicines, it's like the third leading cause of death. That's why, right there, because it's fighting against normal, intelligent regulation. So bad patterns overwhelm your regulation, and the body and the brain compromise function. It becomes like a triage on the inside. Well, we're gonna, we have to have oxygen to the heart, so we're just gonna have to give up those feet. We can live without the feet. We cannot live without your heart. So it's compromising inside. It's trying to improve your survivability. The body then begins to send messages that we call symptoms that are ultimately begging for a change. Change your diet, change your environment, provide nourishment, provide soothing, rest, provide stimulation. Do something different. See something differently. Be someone different. Please, it's asking. And sometimes we do ask people to be someone different. In a caretaker pattern, we may need to work on agreements and boundaries. And somebody might have to get stronger about protecting themselves. But you'll still be you. You'll just be a stronger you. So instead of suppressing symptoms, we inquire, what do you need? Inside and outside. We ask through lab measurements, and we ask through muscle testing, and then we respond. We remeasure your labs, we reassess the physical testing, such as muscle testing or oxygen testing. We notice what's working and what's not, and we readjust. Your response, which is my guided, what I'm laying out for you to do, as needed. So we adjust your treatment. And as we continue in that process, we enjoy improved health. That is the philosophy of this clinic and myself in a nutshell.